How to get the motor mounts out in your 124, 129, or 107 560 SL. These are not the same motor mounts in a 560, but the principle applies here. Sometimes getting the motor mounts out of your 129, 124, sometimes even a 126 car. Sometimes all this stuff can be a real pain in the butt. And today we were doing this job at a 1990 300 SL, and I thought to myself, maybe I should make a video telling people what I do to get these out, or what we do here at Pierre Hedary to get them out. And the answer is quite simple. So this arm that bolts up to the top of the motor mount, which is not attached because I want you guys to see where the motor mounts collapse. This arm that's attached is a aluminum arm that bolts up to the side of the engine block, and it has a 17mm bolt that can be really hard to get to. Now what happens if you can't get the bolt out, or if you don't have access to the bolt, such as on a 500E or 400E? Well, the answer is simple: remove the arm. Now on the 560 SL we do the same thing. Sometimes it can be really difficult to get, especially if we have a stripped bolt or something. It can be really difficult to get the motor mounts out, or even to get the engine up high enough in these cars because there's so little space. And so there are 4 13mm bolts in each of these cars that hold the arm to the block. Once you remove these 4 13mm bolts, you can move the arm out of the way, unbolt the 2 bolts that hold the motor mount in place, and take it out. Or if you can't separate the arm and the motor mount, which align here at this little pin, you could take the motor mount coupled to the arm mount and put it on the bench, separate the 17mm bolt, and remove it. Okay, so we've got some more tricks with removing these motor mounts that I think some of you would like to know about. Tricks with removing motor mounts can include stuck motor mount bolts. This is a huge source of frustration for a lot of people, and I personally have dealt with this situation enough times to where I feel your pain. So the number one issue that occurs with motor mount bolt failure usually involves a stripped 6mm Allen, and the inside of the Allen rounds out. Now here are 2 tricks that you can use to get yourself out of a pinch with this bolt in case you think it's stripped. Number one, get a tiny tool and clean out the Allen slot in the bolt and gently hammer your Allen socket or whatever in place. Don't use a worn out socket either. If you see the edges are worn or it's a really old socket, don't use it. Get a fresh one. It's worth the few dollars to save some frustration. But in case somebody's been in there before and stripped it out, you can actually hammer a 12.12mm socket over your stripped 6mm Allen bolt. And yes, that is probably the most effective way to do it. Now, if you're dealing with a bolt in a blind hole, such as an 8 or 10mm Allen, and by the way, this trick comes from my buddy Uwe Lehman, and I can give you all of the, I can give Uwe all the credit for this because it's worked for me before and he's mentioned it. You can use a Torx. I can't remember what size it is. I think it's like a T20 or something. It's a big Torx. If you're doing the Allen bolts that hold your motor mounts to the arm on your 560 SL that go up through the bottom of the cross member, you can hammer a Torx into the blind hole. The longer the better, and it will grab an area just a little bit bigger than the Allen wrench and usually take the Allen bolt out. However, you could save a lot of trouble with these if you just donk, 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 hammer your Allen bolt in to begin with so you don't partially strip the bolt out. One last trick that I really like, one last trick that I wanted to share with you guys is what to do if you have a broken motor mount arm. And this can occur sometimes where the bolt actually breaks off inside the arm. This has happened on 123s usually, where you have a bolt that that screws into the bottom of the arm and either got cross-threaded or breaks off because you cross-threaded it while you're tightening it. The first step is that you're going to have to jack up your engine. So you want to disconnect the throttle linkage and the fan shroud, and then you want to support the engine in the oil pan with some wood blocks so you don't damage it. You want to undo both motor mounts and both engine shocks and jack the engine up so you can have enough clearance to get to the 4 17mm nuts, or if you're dealing with another car where this happens, the 13mm screws that hold the motor mount arm to the block. Once you get the arm off, then we're going to see the root cause of the problem, whether you have a broken bolt or not. And at this point, you can either elect to replace the arm or take it to a machinist and get it fixed. But pulling the arm is something you may have to, don't, in other words, look at the arm and think to yourself, can I get this thing off if I can't get to the motor mount and can't get it off? That's basically the message of this video. So I hope it's helped you guys. I hope it helps some of you, especially those of you who wish to replace your own motor mounts. I wish you the best of luck in this task, and we'll talk in the near future. Please like, share, and subscribe. Tap the bell for notifications, and enjoy working on your classic Mercedes.